Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Today, I'm talking about intermittent fasting and how you could use it to help you reach your goals faster and really improve things like cravings, insulin sensitivity. All kinds of good research is going on right now about intermittent fasting, and I've certainly seen the results myself. But before I get into that, I just want to share kind of an interesting story. So as most of you know, I follow a ketogenic diet. And last night I went out to dinner with my girlfriend, and it was just one of those all out, off plan evenings. It happens, no big deal, perfectly fine. But what was really interesting is I got home, and that night I was having hot flashes. And I have to tell you that I've never really had hot flashes like that before. And it makes me realize that doing what I'm doing, living low carb, keeps my hormones in balance. And it's just amazing to me that as soon as I had a super off plan night where obviously, my blood sugar was not stable, boom, hot flashes. Does anyone relate to this? I see this a little bit in my practice as well, and I've had friends say to me, why don't you ever get hot flashes? But I really haven't, and now I realize the strong connection between your diet and hormonal stuff. When you are eating a low carb diet and you're eating a nice amount of fat, what it really does is it keeps your hormones in balance, and all your hormones are connected. They're really the chemical messengers of your body. Think about insulin, okay? So we eat too much sugar, or just we eat sugar. It doesn't even have to be too much. And as a natural response, your body says, hey, there's too much sugar in the bloodstream, because as we know, it's toxic to have too much sugar. You only need about a teaspoon floating around there. So your pancreas releases insulin. And the truth of the matter is, insulin is just one of many hormones in your body. It's not just about your female hormones. So the point is they're all connected. And once you get your hormonal system in balance, it could help if you're experiencing, symptoms of pre-menopause, menopause, post-menopause. So pretty interesting story. So anyway, if you're on, I want you to feel free, type in any questions you have about intermittent fasting. And I'm going to make sure I get it answered on this live video. And if you're watching on replay, you can still go ahead and type your questions in the comments, and I'll make sure that I get them answered. So let's sort of start with, what is intermittent fasting? Some of you may be wondering. Intermittent fasting is really all about meal timing. It's sort of the intentional skipping of meals, for lack of a better way to describe it. It provides you a formal feast and fasting window. But when I say feasting, I don't mean binging. I mean healthy, well-balanced meals, but you're kind of limiting the time that you eat to a specific time window. And the intermittent nature of it is really what keeps your body guessing. And they say it has many, many benefits. And I have to say that I use intermittent fasting on a regular basis. In fact, today is the perfect intermittent fast day for me, because I had this really super off-plan evening last night, and my goal today is to kind of go ahead and deplete those glucose stores of mine, so I can once again get into fat burning mode. So I'll be fasting for the day. So intermittent fasting is the deliberate skipping of meals. And there's a big difference between intermittent fasting and starving yourself. So let's address that for a moment. So starving ourselves is a whole different thing. It's the involuntary absence of food, and it leads to death. But intermittent fasting is sort of that deliberate skipping of meals. And it's just for a designated period of time. And people use intermittent fasting not just for health and weight loss reasons, but it's also used for religious and spiritual reasons. I mean, fasting dates back centuries. So who is intermittent fasting good for? And that's a really important question. So intermittent fasting is really good for anyone who wants to try it. Naturally, if you have any sort of diabetic, blood pressure issues, any health concerns that you feel might get in the way of fasting, or where medications might be altered because of fasting, that is something you will need to discuss with your doctor. But generally, if you're healthy, intermittent fasting is something you could certainly try if you choose. It's really a natural adjunct to low carb or ketogenic living, but you don't have to be on a low carb or keto diet to try intermittent fasting. So the reason it's a natural adjunct is because low carb and ketogenic dieting, the result of that is that you essentially lose your cravings. Because your blood sugar is so stable, you're not starving all the time. You're not thinking about food all the time. So it becomes a natural adjunct. You could literally forget to eat when you're doing a low carb or a ketogenic diet. So that's why a lot of people on these protocols use intermittent fasting. But the truth is, you don't have to be on that kind of protocol. Intermittent fasting can have a big impact on your weight loss goals and your health. It facilitates fat burning and muscle building. So fasting gives access to your fat stores that might be harder to reach in a fed state. So it makes meal planning very simple. It's appropriate for those on low carb or keto. And since their blood sugar is stable, their appetite's under control, it's a really great opportunity to try it. But honestly, anyone can try it if you're healthy and you feel that it might be a good fit for you. You never really know if something's going to work unless you try it. Also, the thing about intermittent fasting is you really don't want to do it unless you are cognizant that your feasting window is two things. It's got to be convenient. Your fasting and feasting have to be convenient. If you have a wedding the night before, let's just say, and the day after the wedding, maybe, you have something else going on. So typically at a wedding, they go a lot later and you're eating a lot later into the evening. But let's say you have like a lunch date and you don't want to go to this lunch date and not eat, then it's not a good day for a fast. So you want to make sure it's convenient, that it fits into your life. You also want to make sure that when you're feasting and fasting, that you are cognizant of that window and respectful of that window. You don't want to be super loosey-goosey, because then you're not really following the protocol. So in other words, if you fasted for, let's say, 18 hours and you have a 6-hour feasting, don't turn the feasting window into a 10-hour feasting window. Really only do it if the timing works for you. So you want to be cognizant of the time. So how does IF work? Well, as I mentioned, there are feasting windows and fasting windows. So I hope some of this is resonating with you. It doesn't seem like a whole lot of people are on right now, but you might be watching this in replay. So if this topic resonates with you, if it's something that you're interested in, just click the like button. I'm curious to see how many people out there are doing intermittent fasting, are interested in intermittent fasting, or might have questions about intermittent fasting. Anyway, let's get back to intermittent fasting and the protocol for intermittent fasting. You could do a 24-hour fast. So let's say you're done with dinner at 6 p.m. That means that you would not eat until 6 p.m. the next day. I also want to mention that unlike other fasts, like religious fasts, for example, an intermittent fast, you would want to make sure that you're staying well hydrated. So you could have, some coffee or tea or water for sure. And it's a great opportunity actually to push fluids, to have some broth, to drink some tea or some coffee, to really drink water. And it's no problem if you want to squeeze a little bit of lemon in your water, no problem. So it's really, intermittent fasting is a little different than what some of us might think of more that we've experienced in a religious aspect. So anyway, there's 24-hour, and then you could even do, a 16-hour, an 18-hour. So let's just say if you do a 16-hour fast, you've had dinner at 7 o'clock, you're done with dinner. You would then go until 11 a.m. the next day. That's a 16-hour window you would be fasting. So the easy part is you're sleeping for hopefully a solid 8 hours of it. So intermittent fasting is a lot easier than it seems, and I find it much easier just to go ahead and skip breakfast. Now, a lot of people ask me, can I have coffee in the morning? Can I have coffee with cream? Like if you're doing a ketogenic diet and you drink, coffee with heavy whipping cream or half and half in the morning, no sweetener and no artificial sweetener, you might say, well, can I still have my coffee? And there's mixed, as everything in nutrition, there are mixed opinions. My opinion is the best method is going to be the method that works for you. So you should allow your weight loss to be your guide and your ability to stick with the fast. If you find that you're getting results and you're drinking that fatted coffee in the morning, maybe your bulletproof concoction, go for it. Because the truth is, fat alone does not increase your blood sugar. So it really should not screw up your fast. However, some people feel that a super heavy duty bulletproof coffee is loaded with calories, and so it may not be a good fit for an intermittent fast. Once again, the best method is the one that works for you. So I have a really helpful 3-page PDF all about intermittent fasting. If this is something you're interested in, you can PM me or comment. But I'll just need your email address and I'll be happy to email you the PDF. I hope this was helpful to tell you a little bit about intermittent fasting. And I really want to encourage you, if you have questions or comments, go ahead, put them in the comment section. I'll make sure I answer all of your questions about intermittent fasting. So that's it for today, guys. Have an awesome day. And